to Mic Check Waifu Waifu.
Mic check, waifu. My television, is that you?
That's my internet. That's enough.
This is episode 172 of Mic Check Waifu. As always, is brought to you by Lube Complex. Make sure you go to lubecomplex.com and use that offer code waifu to save on your entire cart. It's also brought to you by Patreon producers. Shout out to our Patreon producers. AB, Aaron Brown, Dre, the GOAT, G, Ked, the pro from Chaotic Culture Podcast, Explicitly, Monique Williams, and the great Nachi. Thank y'all so much for producing this and many other episodes of the podcast. You can support the Patreon at patreon.com/miccheckwaifu. You get early access to the video version of this podcast. You get exclusive access to the Patreon only podcast, The After Story about any and everything, life, video games, whatever we want to talk about on that podcast over there on patreon.com/miccheckwaifu. Very big episode for you today. As you can see in the title and as you can see in the cover art, as we so eloquently getting roasted on Twitter by our boy One Piece Leak. Shout out to Worst Generation Podcast and One Punch Sham. We appreciate y'all. We are reintroducing ourselves every once in a while. Mic Check Waifu gets an influx of new listeners, and what we like to do is that we like to reintroduce ourselves because we don't like for people to go to episode 1 of the podcast because that episode is old. It's fucking outdated as hell. It's before we got our shit together. I can thoroughly say at 172 weeks of this, we kind of got our shit together. So we're going to reintroduce ourselves. Now, this is a great episode for anybody that's just jumping into Mic Check Waifu, or even for the veterans, because what we're going to do is, for the first time ever in this podcast, in this episode, we're going to go through our top 10s. Now, this is a very, very important deal to us. Our lists are fucking sacred here at Mic Check Waifu. Like, we coveted our top 5s like crazy. We referenced them quite a bit throughout the years, and we think holding certain anime in such a high regard is very important to us. So we take it extremely seriously. But first, before we get into all that, we would like to introduce ourselves, and I'm going to start by saying hi. I'm Polow. I'm a Twitch streamer, funny enough, and podcaster. It's kind of all I do right now. I'm a huge fan of video games. I can go into video game conversations just as well as I can go into anime conversations because that's literally all I do in my life. I am virtually the slice of life expert on this podcast because my anime watching career started off as the typical meathead young kid in 4th grade watching Dragon Ball Z and absolutely loving it. Anything that had fights in it, anything that just threw hands, period. I was just completely mindless and a meathead of it. The story I always tell is whenever I was on the site that is now discontinued, so I can't mention it, Kiss Anime, when I was younger, obviously, like we all did back in the day to get our anime fix. I was going through the list and I saw this anime, and this might be a part of the top 10 reference. We never know. Keep listening to find out. But I was going through the Kiss Anime list, and I was going through, how they used to have that hot symbol next to certain anime. Yeah. So I was going through Kiss Anime list just because I feel like I watched everything. I just finished. I think I just finished. What was that? Oh shit! It was like a kendo show, a super classic kendo show. I forget the boy's name. Kind of etchy. I digress. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. I can't remember the name of the show, but I just finished that show and I was scrolling through the list and I saw this show called Clannad. What caught my attention about Clannad was all the letters was capitalized. and it had the hot symbol next to it. I'm like, huh, what's this? All the letters are capitalized. That's weird. I turned it on. It definitely wasn't action. It definitely wasn't throwing hands, but it was a show I continued to watch because I saw that it had it dubbed, and it was 2 seasons, and it was 24 episodes each season. So I'm like, you know what? It's dubbed. It's 24 episodes. Why not? I watched the whole thing through, and it completely changed the way I view anime now. Like it erupted an emotional effect that I haven't felt ever watching anything on TV, period. I cried fucking snot and tears and everything, and I'm not a crier whatsoever, but I was fucking bawling watching that show. It changed my life. It changed the way I watch anime, and I became a major slice of life fan. So it's a little bit about me. Also, I do this podcast with my brother, King Telliano. I've known this guy since the 7th grade, and never once in our entire lives together have we ever had a problem with each other. We've always loved anime. We always loved video games. But I'm going to throw it over to Tell, aka King Telliano, for him to introduce himself.
So, long-time listeners, y'all already know, but for our new people, King Telliano, my name is Montel. Like Polow said, I've known him since 7th grade, which is, at this point, more than half our life.
Yeah.
We've known each other, what is basically forever at this point.
True.
My first anime was Ronin Warriors, which is like super old. It's basically like Power Rangers, but anime samurai.
It's what? What happened?
Ronin Warriors, it's
Yeah.
not my first anime. So like I said, it's basically like Power
Rangers.
Super
Oh,
old.
okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so my expertise in anime is really just I started off super casual, just watching. It got me into art. Love things like Sonic the Hedgehog, Mega Man, Dragon Ball,
Fire.
stuff like that. That's what I kind of grew up drawing all the time, and that got me in art, got me into anime, got me into this whole like gaming aspect of life too. I'm not gonna say I'm as well versed on the gaming side as Polow, but I do think that we both have some pretty diverse interests in anime in general. So I would say personally my expertise, and I'm gonna say Polow probably has expertise as well, or we both have this expertise. We like to really deep dive into look at the thought processes and stuff in anime. One of our things that we just love, and I like thinking about the perspective of the characters or even the writer who made these characters.
Right.
So, I've been in the anime for tons of years. It's been forever for us.
Absolutely. Yeah, like Tell said, we dive deep into the story aspects of anime, especially here on the podcast. Like it's very important for us to have a story that is engaging enough with characters that is also engaging. So you might hear stuff that comes from us that is not of the typical realm of anime. So My Check Waifu is a podcast that brings you seasonal anime discussions. Our goal for you, the listener, is to get you to check out the seasonal anime alongside us as we talk about the different topics that comes from these shows. We don't necessarily go into spoilers, but I'll get into that a little bit later in the show. We don't necessarily go into spoilers into these shows. We just like to bring the topics from these shows. And then in the second half of our show, which is always broken up by a music break, we like to give a music break, and then we like to go into spoilers of the shows that we're currently watching and are completely enthralled in. So we want you along for the ride for us per season, and this is kind of like the perfect time to do it because fall season literally just started. As of this week, fall shows just started releasing, so this is a great time for you to join us on this journey. Again, we talk seasonal shows. We like to find stuff that we think you should watch, not just shows that everybody are watching. That's kind of our thing. We also are kind of known for our reviews, which is something you're getting in this episode as well. Our reviews are very, very, very methodical, because the way we do our reviews are extremely detailed. We break them down into 5 different categories, and we rate those 5 different categories, then average those scores from those 5 different categories and give you an overall total score for that particular anime. It's going to be more of that in the second half of the show because we get to review a spring banger that lasted for about 25 weeks, 25 episodes. That I'm excited that we're both
That's a great one.
that we are both extremely excited to talk about. So in the second half of the show, where we normally would do our spoiler discussion for seasonal anime, since we're starting fresh, we're going to give you a review of Summertime Rendering. like I said, a spring banger. So I'm looking forward to doing that with you guys today. But again, as I said today, what we're going to do before we get into what we watched so far this fall, we're going to share our top 10 list. My heart is fucking pounding. This is the first time since like episode 1 I've been nervous doing this podcast because, again, like I said, our lists are very sacred. So we're going to go into our top 10s, and the way we're going to do it, we don't know each other's top 10s list. We're going to bounce back and forth 10 all the way down to 1, giving it in that particular order. Okay, Tell, first, before we get into that, bro, how do you feel about your list?
So we talked a little bit about this before we got on. So I think we both kind of took the same approach where, like, if I didn't have any instinctual thought of the show, I wasn't putting it on my list. Mm-hmm. So everything that's on my top 10 has some kind of instinct that said this is where it's supposed to go. Mm-hmm. Or it's got to be in this list. And there's only one thing that I actually took off my list.
Interesting. Okay, took off.
Yeah, I took off my list that I would have thought would be in my top 10. But I took it off my list because it I don't think I could keep it there no more.
That's very intriguing. For me, it was the absolute same thing Tell just said. For me, I kind of sat down and thought to myself, with my Annie list pulled up, you can follow us on annilist.co/user/PolowMoreFly or /King Telliano. Our profiles will be in the show notes, so follow us there. I kind of closed my eyes, and if you're watching the video version of this podcast, you kind of see what I'm doing here. I closed my eyes and I sat down and thought, what anime would be in my top 10? And I would just think of a name. And if I thought of that name, it hit my top 10. Okay, I closed my eyes again. Okay, thought of a name and it hit my top 10. Then from there, once I got the full 10 anime that I want to be in my top 10 list, I put them in order. Now that was the fucking hard part. That was the extreme hard part for me, but I'm extremely confident in this order, actually. Funny enough, I don't think my list has changed that much, but we shall see when we go into it. So without further, okay, so go ahead.
I was gonna say there's at least 2 anime that didn't make it back. Even into my, and we only talked top 5s before, so there's at least 2 anime that didn't even make it to my top 5 this time.
Interesting, bro. Interesting. All right, man. Without further ado, let's do further. Okay, starting at number 10. Let's flip a coin and see who goes first. Pick one. Pick one, Tell. Heads or tails?
I'm gonna go with heads, and I always go tails.
Okay, I'm flipping a coin. It's heads.
I see it in your glasses. All right, it's heads. So I'm gonna go first now, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I'm gonna start off with a pretty typical Tell anime.
Number 10.
For number 10. No Game, No Life.
Wow, crazy.
Polow knows I love this series. It's
Absolutely
one that I'll frequently bring up, especially with isekai or strategy. I love the characters. Some of the relationship stuff in it has no value for me, but the characters themselves, how the story plays out, and the fact that I want so much more for it, it's gonna be my number 10.
Ooh. Okay. Now, number 10 for me. Just thought it and it popped. Now, remember, these are our subjective lists, not objective views, subjectives. Now, we do take subjective and objective very seriously here as well, because objectively is how we rate our anime. Subjectively is what we do with our lists. So keep that in mind as well. Very opinionated with this. My number 10 comes from slight recency bias, but also, how can I not? For music alone, Made in Abyss is my number 10 anime. Made in Abyss is fucking incredible. It just wrapped up with a 48-minute banger that was unbelievable. We're getting more. Unbelievable last episode of season 2. This wasn't a fucking Promised Neverland situation where season 1 was great and then season 2 was poop. It was absolutely fire from season 1 to the movie you're supposed to watch in between season 1 and 2 to season 2 being chef kiss. Again, what Made in Abyss does though, and what fucking kills me, is it invokes the emotion that you don't get from anime, bro. Or you don't get from a lot of anime, I should say, because some do. The emotion you give... Yes, man. Made in Abyss gives you fucking dread, bro. Absolute dread. I never felt so much anxiety. Well, I have, because I have anxiety, but I haven't felt so much anxiety for an anime per se since Made in Abyss. Made in Abyss requires me to pause it every once in a while. Stop, stand up, and walk around. It's a fucking show, Polo. Like, but I'm just that invested into this show. Like, I'm like, I can't take it. There's certain scenes, especially in this last episode, that just broke me. I'm like, oh no, please stop. No more. I can't take it. It's just the emotion it invokes is what has me so involved in this series and why it made my top 10 easily.
I'm not mad with that at all. I high-key didn't even think Made in Abyss was gonna make it to your top 10 because I know how strict your top 10 can be.
Very particular.
I had a feeling they might make it there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. My number 9 is Sword Art Online, and not just like the first season.
Is what? Hold on.
Sword Art Online.
Okay, so I was having some internet trouble, so bear with us. But Sword Art Online made your list.
Yeah. Number 9, Sword Art Online. It's the entirety of the series. I feel like it's a isekai staple. It's amazing, and they did a lot of really great things. But it's just really good for me in terms of like when I think of an anime that really made me want to touch isekai or look at isekai more. It's one of those like things that made a gateway. Don't necessarily think it's the best isekai, but I definitely think it's one of those that said, Montel, this is something you gotta look at.
Subjective,
so
not objective. Yeah. Keep that in mind. Subjective, not objective. Okay, Moody. I fucking love that. I fucking love that Sword Art is in your list. It makes me happy that it's in one of our lists. It definitely isn't in mine because my list is just it's fucking stacked in there, bro. It's so stacked. It's like the best all-star team that ever existed. Like, it's unbelievable. I'm talking the one with AI and Jordan and Kobe. Like, it's just that kind of all-star team. So I would say it's definitely in my top 25, probably. But like, it's unbelievable. So great choice on you. And funny enough, this goes into a little side tangent into Mic Check Waifu. We are huge in the isekai, like very huge in the isekai. So that's something that's weird about us. We just kind of fell into it, but we just so happened to come across a shit ton of isekai while doing this podcast that we actually enjoy. So if you like isekai, welcome. You're welcome here. Okay, so my number 9, again, it evokes emotion that you just don't get often, and this is one that got it. It's a slice of life. Avi. It's Golden Time, man. Golden Time from 2013. One of the best slice of lives there is. Now, I think this is objective and subjective because it's beautiful. The music is phenomenal. The character and character development is a huge part of Golden Time that fucking either breaks your heart or you're just so happy and giddy. It offers romance that is mature, in a story that is very much compartmentalized. Why can't I talk? Compartmentalized. Thank you. In its own sections that offer something crazy, and it deals with amnesia, and that's not spoilers because it's in the description. It deals with just different scenarios and situations that I think everybody should watch because I guarantee you it will cause some emotions to erupt within you. Golden Time is fucking phenomenal. Absolutely love it. And I love when, you know what I love? This is something small, and this is just something I'm throwing in there. But Golden Time does something with like their female characters where they actually change clothes. And she's like one of the freshest anime characters in the game, the female protagonist. So I thought that was dope. And it's college students. I also love college students, which pisses me off because what I just thought about just now, literally as I'm talking about this seems like it's very... Why didn't Remake Our Life make my top 10? But it didn't. Golden Time did. I feel like they're so pseudo similar, right? That's how good this anime is. It's very Remake Our Life-esque, or I could say it's Remake Our Life's dad or something like that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
I might have to check out Golden Time. I know I
so good
that a while ago.
Yeah, it's very good.
All right, my number 8 is one that I feel like I definitely have some bias to it. But I watched it during this podcast, and I feel like it got a special place in my heart, especially after watching Soul Eater. But Fire Force, number 8 for me is Fire Force.
Damn! Wow, number 8, Fire Force.
Yeah, I absolutely love Fire Force, and
good shit, bro.
There's just so much going on in it.
Good shit,
and the correlations to Soul Eater, I love it.
That's actually fire. That's so fire. No pun intended, I guess. I actually didn't mean that pun. That's funny. That's great though. Oh my god, Fire Force, bro. It's crazy how fucking different our lists are. Insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah.
I mean, I can already pretty much guess what kind of fell out your top 10. Probably your top 5. But for me, what will remain in my list, regardless of whatever I see, maybe kind of, there's something that could maybe knock this out. But number 8 for me is something that's very important to us. It's our one and only 10. It's Astro Lost in Space for number 8 for me. Astro Lost in Space is still absolutely incredible. Now it's a fucking very good. You start off with number 1 with episode 1 with a 48-minute episode, fucking drama and chaos and intrigue and mystery and character development and character even growth and change. I absolutely find Astro Lost in Space to be a perfect anime through and through, animation wise, sound design wise. It's still a 10. It's our first and only 10 so far. I love it. Great character design too. I fucking love the character design and the way they did it. It's great. It's a great anime. Perfect. What, 13 episodes?
Yeah, bro. Beautiful.
Perfect 13 episodes with a nice wrap that doesn't leave anything ambiguous, which is something that anime loves to do for some weird reason. But yeah, Astro Lost in Space number 8.
All right. My number 7 is another one that's personally one I watched before I got into the podcasting game with Polow. Noragami. Love the series in general, but I also love when we have anime to talk about the Japanese deities, gods, that kind of stuff, and just how and I love the historical context of anime in general too, which is actually surprising why the Fate series fell from my list. But
that's what fell.
Still Noragami, one of my favorites.
Incredible. Noragami is absolutely incredible. I cannot blame you. Number 7 for me, right?
Yes.
Another slice of life. One of the top slice of life, probably number 2 for me as far as slice of life goes. And that's My Teen Romantic Comedy Snafu series. My Teen Romantic Comedy Snafu, fucking brilliant. Even Tell watched it, which is great. But it's brilliant. One of the best main characters in anime. And I'm talking anime, period. They do something with My Teen Romantic Comedy Snafu that's special. Not a lot of anime do it, but there are some like Blue Period, etc., that offers the inner monologue that is so deep and detailed and thought-provoking that you can't help but to love him as a character, period, point blank. Not only that, his situation is a tough one because even his surrounding cast are some of the most likable people you will see in a show. Romantic Comedy Snafu is I don't understand why it's called that. I guess there are some comedy bits in it, but it's a very, very, very deep show that goes deeper than what its title suggests. And I think it's a very much a must watch for all anime fans, not just me heads.
Yeah, that final season definitely was not comedy at all.
Dude, definitely didn't feel like it.
All right. Sheesh. Well, this is where my list becomes a very Mike Check Waifu-esque list. My number 6 is Astro Lost in Space.
Let's go, baby.
For all the same reasons that Polow said. All the same reasons. It's a perfect anime. It's hard to not consider anything less than perfect. Like it's definitely on that perfect scale. So
for sure,
yeah. Astro Lost in Space, 10 out of 10 for me. So it hits my number 6.
Number 6 for your boy. Again, this might not ever leave this list, but it is entirely possible with, a lot of good shit coming out still. A lot of stuff that I can go back and rewatch, and this may change. Number 6 for me, Steins Gate, man. Steins Gate is unfucking believable. Okabe, some of the craziest character suffering, character development, character growth, and just overall, I'm fucked, yet I'll still try my best kind of shit. And then I'm never gonna say that, never mind. Just episode 1 being what it is and how important episode 1 is so fucking special to me. Like, it's so unbelievably special. And I think Steins Gate is one of the best, make sure I clarify that, one of the best time machine anime
time travel.
There it is. Time travel anime there is. I love it. Steins Gate is great.
Sheesh. All right. My number 5 is Made in Abyss.
Wow, that's high.
Oh my God. The audio design for it, the characters, the story. I loved all of it, man. And I feel like it's just a wild ride to watch Made in Abyss, bro.
100%.
Like we said, the first season was stellar. The movie,
absolutely stellar.
I don't know, man. That movie kicked my ass, bro. It felt like I was in there fighting Bondru myself, bro. I didn't know what was going on.
You fucking swinging.
And then we got to talk about Shao Tucker when we talk about Bondru now, because come on, man, that dude is an actual dad demon. But yeah, Made in Abyss, another great anime for me. It's my 5 on my top 10.
What a great list, Tel. You got a great list so far, brother.
Try.
My number 5. My number 5 is easy. This is the first anime that popped in my head when I was thinking of my top 5 list, which is crazy. 86 unfucking believable anime again from start to finish. It's a mecha anime, which is something I would never say ever in my life that mecha anime would be in my top 5, because that's probably one of my least favorite genres, to be honest. But this show again gives you everything that we talked about at the beginning of the show: character development, intrigue, story, sadness, emotion evoking these situations that is unbelievable. Great cast of characters, as I said again. And the voice acting in 86 subbed. I haven't heard the dub yet, so I can't really speak on that yet. But the sub fucking unfathomable how fucking incredible that sub is. I feel just impacted by every single line of dialogue that is in this show. It kills me every single time something happens and somebody's expressing their feelings or sharing some emotion that is like unbelievably sad or happy or just whatever emotion you want to think. These actors nail it. They nail it so hard. And then in symbolism, this show gives you symbolism all throughout the entire series, and you'll never notice it until you either rewatch it or you watch a theory video or you dive deeper into the world of 86. 86 is great.
All right. So blah blah blah. I'm gonna say everything that Polow just said. My number 4 is 86. Because just like he said though, but even like the turmoil that's going on in the world, the things you think about with what's happening, why it's happening the way it is, like it's amazing anime. I think that would be one that actually hits 10 out of 10 if we rated it, because
100%.
Come the fuck on, bro. 86 is still different. Great anime. It's my number 4 on my list.
Great, bro. Great. My number 4. This is again when I thought about it, this was like 4th and it still remains so for me. Grimgar Fantasy and Ash still has my heart. And the reason why it has my heart is because fully subjective, this is an isekai that did something so different, so unique, while giving you unbelievable art. This art style in this show, it feels like an isekai. It feels like you're in another world. And I think the art was done intentionally so that you can get that feeling that these characters feel of being in this place. And again, it does isekai so different. I mean, you're used to isekais. You know what? I'm not even going to speak on that because I love for people to go into Grimgar Fantasy and Ash not knowing anything, because that is the absolute best way to experience this anime. Grimgar Fantasy and Ash, if you haven't watched it, understand why it's in my top 5 top 5 as soon as you watch it. Number 4, Grimgar Fantasy and Ash.
I think objectively, I would put Grimgar at like 1 for me for isekai. Like I wouldn't say 1, probably top 1, top 2, because there's only one other I can think of that, like in terms of how that world. You're just like, yo, Grimgar does it different. All right, so my top 3 are all anime that kind of give me cravings every once in a while to watch. One of which is relatively new. So my number 3 is Remake Our Life. When Polow said it didn't make it to his list, I was kind of heartbroken a little bit. But when I tell you how much I love Remake My Life, the anime itself is just it's a lot, man. The life he lived and how he got to kind of, you know, remake his own life and the stuff around him. It's a great anime. It literally, and I've talked about it. I've said it several times before. I want to sit down and watch Remake Our Life again. Or I want to go back and watch Remake Our Life. I've been looking for the dub for it.
Is there a dub for it?
Yet. Not yet.
Oh, damn. That's unfortunate.
But yeah, Remake Our Life is my number 3. Incredible
choice. If my list wasn't as stacked as it is, I would probably have it there too. But number 3 for me, man, and this is kind of like indicative spoilers for our review. Summertime Rendering is my number 3 anime in my list. Everything that we're going to talk about in the second half of the show after the music break by Noah, Airport Bar. We're going to do that for you, Rob J. Shout out to you, bro. It's great, bro. I don't even want to get into it too much because we're going to talk about it in grave detail inside of the second half of the show. So stick around for that, and stick around for our how we do our reviews. It's very cool. I think you guys are really going to like it. But Summertime Rendering is great. I'm gonna just say that. It's fucking great. Tales number 2.
Stick around for the review. My number 2 is Summertime Rendering. Because, what did we just digest? In the 25 episodes of greatness that we just saw.
I wouldn't even say it's recency bias. This is just for anybody that watch it whenever they watch it. For one, if you're watching it later, you are in for the most special treat ever.
Because it's all there.
Because you get to binge it all, exactly. Because it's all there. So,
I was just in Twitter space talking about this anime, and I'll bring this to the conversation for a little bit, but how Shide is not just a basic villain. Like, he's an amazing villain.
Incredible villain.
So yeah, super hyped to talk about that when we get there. Not necessarily, I'm not saying he's a big villain, but I think his motives are way more than we can even look at. But number 2 for me, Summertime Render.
Yeah, if y'all was able to pick up what he said it. There's many ways to look at Shide as different. Is that what you said? Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
Basically he's a pretty diverse character in my opinion.
Very much so. Very much so. All right. Number 2 for your boy. And it's where my list just doesn't deviate. To keep it G real with you. Clannad again, subjectively. It's not, I wouldn't say it's the best objectively. Like, I want to give it a 10 out of 10 on our rating scale. Hell, we didn't. We gave it, spoiler alert for when we go through all of our reviews, we gave it a 9.8. So close enough, I guess. But Clannad, way too special for me. Clannad is, again, the reason why my anime taste changed. The reason why I crave more than just a basic story. I crave more than just a basic villain. I crave more than just typical ooey gooey romance. There's this anime is the reason why I am who I am, and why I'm here, to be honest, while I'm here doing this anime podcast. So Clannad, number 2, great, GOAT. Number 1 for King Telliano.
My number 1 is ReZero. I don't have much to say about it. Just watch it. When you get to episode 14, let me know what you think, and then proceed and just fall in love with the anime like I did. That's all there's to it.
For sure. Okay, for number 1, ReZero. It didn't change. Just ReZero is one of the great isekais there is, great shows there is, great character development, great character growth, emotional roller coaster, dramatic emotions evoked throughout. I say that a lot, but it's true. ReZero is unbelievable, and there's 3 seasons of greatness. Is it 2 or? It's 2
seasons.
I'm a doofus.
But they split up the second season. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they split up the second season. But I was thinking of the director's cut. The director's cut is the best way to watch season 1. So whenever you do watch it. All right. That's our top 10 list. Tell, if you would do us the honors, if your internet would allow us to go down both of our lists, 10 through 1 fully.
All right. So both of our top 10s.
You can start off with you first.
Okay. My top 10 is No Game No Life.
That's number 10.
Number 9 is Sword Art Online. Number 8 is Fire Force. Number 7 is Noragami. Number 6 is Astro Lost in Space. Number 5 is Made in Abyss. Number 4 is 86. Number 3 is Remake Our Life. Number 2 is Summertime Rendering. And number 1 is ReZero. It's quite a few anime that didn't return for me. That normally would have been in my top 5. Should River Fell Night. Number 10 for Polow. Made in Abyss. Number 9, Golden Time. Number 8, Astro Lost in Space. Number 7, My Romantic Comedy Snafu. Number 6, Dynasty. Number 8, 86. Number 4, Grimgar Fantasy and Ash. Number 3, Summertime Render. Number 2, Clannad. And number 1, ReZero.
What incredible lists. What an incredible list.
Yeah, these I like both these lists a lot. I gotta check out that Golden Time though. I think is Golden Time the only thing I haven't seen on your list?
Yes. And I mean, take a look at our list. What we both have on our list. Made in Abyss, Summertime Rendering, 86. ReZero.
ReZero, Astro Lost in Space.
Oh shit, Abyss. 5. There's 5. That's crazy. That's the first time that has ever happened.
Yeah. And I'm actually, now I'm thinking about it, I wish I hadn't gone up the instinct thing, because I definitely would put My Romantic Comedy Snafu in there.
I mean, but if it didn't hit your instinct, what?
Yeah,
are you wrong?
You're right.
So that's how I feel about Remake Our Life. Like, damn, that definitely should have probably been there.
But yeah, it's like, exactly, like it's supposed to be there, but is it?
Exactly. I mean, yeah, exactly. We hope you enjoy that top 10 list. If you have anything to say about our top 10 lists, anything to say at all, you could tweet at us at Polow Bornfly or at King Telliano, or to make it easier, tweet at us at Mike Check Waifu. Follow our Twitter at Mike Check Waifu, where we mostly discuss everything podcast related. We will both chime in there. So check out Mike Check Waifu on Twitter if you have anything to say about those lists. Now, next up, we are going to discuss some of the fall shows that dropped. I could tell you I watched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shows. What you got?
I watched 4 shows.
Copy that. Can I start if you don't mind?
By all means, go ahead.
And the show I want to start off with is My Hero Academia Season 6. The reason why I want to start off with this is because what I'm about to say, some of y'all might not like. A lot of y'all will probably agree with. But I'm gonna keep it G real. The intro song to My Hero Season 6 fucking sucks. I feel like every intro My Hero has stinks. Now, I know a lot of y'all are going to kind of name an intro and it's still going to be bad to me regardless of whatever you name. I'm a big music fan when it comes to like sonically, and this just sounds like a bunch of noise to me. I can't stand this intro. It's awful. Outro, decent outro. Better outro than intro, but the intro is bad. Now, however, My Hero Season 6 started off with the way My Hero Season 6 should have, with the way My Hero should be. It went back to its fucking roots, and it was an absolutely flawless episode, in my opinion. Flawless fucking episode. You don't need the bullshit. Season 4 and 5 was bullshit. It was a lot of bullshit in between. Some good. Now, I love My Hero. Let me get that clear. I like My Hero fine, okay? But season 4 and 5 was the absolute pinnacle downfall of the show for me. It went from great to almost hate. I absolutely love episode 1 of season 6 of My Hero. It was phenomenal. Such a joy to watch. It gave us no bullshit. They just gave us what we needed and they moved forward. And the way they moved forward was so clean because it was such a cap to what happened at the end of season 6, where the end of season 6, I'm like, okay, it was fine. It was fine. I think I said that back then. I mean, season 5, I digress. Season 5, I meant it was fine. It wasn't a great season, but there was like 3-4 episodes that was phenomenal. I don't remember anything else from season 5. Like most people don't talk about season 5 when they talk about My Hero. They talk about the end of it, which was what this episode 6 led into, which was great. I love fucking seeing the heroes like finally draw up this plan, and we didn't need to be there for it. We definitely didn't need to be there for it, but seeing it play out with how they were intertwining the way the villains teamed up in their plans and what Hawks was doing. And this is going to be spoilers for episode 1 of season 6, so if you haven't watched that, why but other than that, we're going to go into spoilers for the episode 1s of these shows that we're talking about, so just watch them. But I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. Absolutely great.
Much agree. It was a lot better for My Hero over the last couple of seasons, you know. And y'all listen to the podcast, so I've been hyping up My Hero. I thought last season was gonna be everything I ever wanted it to be. Season before, everything I ever wanted it to be, and it just felt like it didn't deliver properly. Much better opening to this new season. Like I said, it just hit way different.
Way different. It hit way different, he said. And I agree. I agree. All right, Tell. Where you want to go?
I watched something that Polow, I know for sure he didn't watch. Mobile Suit Gundam, The Witch from Mercury.
Okay, talk to me. Because you know I didn't.
Yo, this gotta be one of the best opening episodes for a Gundam anime I've watched in a while. And it was just because it wasn't like, it didn't seem like everything was based on we're gonna die if we don't fight or anything like that. It didn't seem like super sad, dramatically or emotionally overwhelming in the beginning. It just seemed like we're getting an introduction to these characters to start off with. And the one character who is going to be like our protagonist, our main character, she's good at piloting a Gundam. The sound design for it, 10 out of 10 so far. Animation was amazing. And the characters seem like they're going to be very likable, except for one character who is intentionally dislikable. So yeah.
Intentionally dislikable, he said. Okay.
Intentionally dislikable. Yeah. So this first episode for Mobile Suit Gundam, The Witch from Mercury, I'm fucking with it. I'm gonna watch the whole thing.
Copy that. Good. I'm glad one of us are, because you know I ain't fucking with the mecha. Shout out to our bruv Ash the Beard from Giant Shooty Robots. Love you, brother, and all you do for the podcast community.
Yeah.
I got one that you didn't watch.
What's that?
It's not even an isekai, but it's great. It's called I've somehow this is the full title, so bear with me. I somehow got stronger when I improved my farm related skills. This fucking show, Till. When I turned it on, at first I'm like, oh God, oh no, because the CGI is some of the worst shit. It was, I swear, this CGI was claymation. Don't know if it was intentional, bro. But I swear it was so claymationly awful that I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, but you know what? I gotta see it through. I got to see it through, my boy. So I watched the entire episode, and it is fucking hilarious, man. It's about literally this farmer who's farming, who just happened to have this, I think they called it a blessing. It was a blessing to, and the way they explained everything was great. It was, you know how some anime just start to have these conversations like, you know, these weird conversations about the world and the rules of the world just out of nowhere, like they didn't already live in this world for however long they've been living in this world. It was a well done introduction because it was a conversation between two friends. It was like talking about, you know, his skill, because something happened to his skill. He put up his skill screen. You can see his skills. I'm like, huh, that skill looks different. And he put some points in, and his friend was like, yo, so what did you put your points in? And they were just talking about, you know, how the skills work and how the blessings work and everything like that. And going through his skills, he happened to have, you know, some attack power of like 73,000 because he spent most of his time with his skill share skill on his farming skill that actually gave him the ability to add to his attack. And his attack is 73,639 or something like that. Rough estimate, but it was like in the 73,000 range. Spoiler alert, when you see the skills of the other characters in the show, the top of the top, guess what his skill number is? Just guess. Throw a number out there.
5.
600. That's the top of the top. You're a knight for the king. 600 is your attack power level. He's 73,639, or somewhere around in that general area.
Oh, he's busted.
So, for example, this motherfucker was taking his crops that he farmed in his little small farming village he was taking it to the capital. There was this adventuring party out in the distance being attacked by a dragon. Ugliest CGI claymation dragon you'll ever see. He's walking, he's eating a carrot. It's like, wow, I should probably distract that thing somehow. Takes his carrot, throw it at the dragon explodes. He completely fucking explodes, bro. I cried laughing when I saw that shit. I'm like, man, what? I'm like, this shit is great. So he gets to the capital, sell his crops. Something else happens. I'm not going to go into too much detail about it. Something else happens, and it's a fucking riot. Now, I don't think it's supposed to be this comedic, but I'm laughing at this shit a lot. It's fun. Okay. It's a fun anime with terrible CGI. I like it. I like the main character so far. He's like, it's a situation that happened, and he's just telling people like, I just want to be a farmer, bro. I just want to tend to my crops. Leave me alone. I don't want to be no hero. I just want to farm. Check out. I somehow got stronger when I improved my farm related skills. It's funny. It's fucking funny.
I feel like I gotta check that out just for the laugh.
Fucking hilarious.
All right. So I know you watched this. Reincarnated as a sword, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, man.
Talk to me. How you feeling?
I'm not even mad at it, bro. It's kind of funny. I like. So Reincarnated as a sword. Basically, how it starts off is our main character, apparently appears to die. He gets okay, but he gets transferred to another world, and he immediately realizes he's a sword, or he realizes he can't move like a human. Finds out he's a sword. Starts trying to figure out what his abilities are, that kind of stuff. He starts off with the main stuff, appraisal,
the
which is
typical.
like the main skill, the OP skill. Right?
Yeah, true.
So he starts trying to build up his level, basically, because he wants to get picked up by someone, picked up by a hero. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to go too far into it. Just our main character is reincarnated as a sword. But I found this first episode enjoyable. I will say though, like 14 minutes in, I was like, okay, so where is this going? Is it going to end before we even see the next main character? Mm-hmm. But it kind of picked back up. So yeah, I would say it was a cool first episode. Second and third episode is going to let me know where I need to be with this.
Exactly. That's where I'm at too. It's like, I'm like, it's kind of fine. I don't think I'm that interested in the main other main character. The sword is cool, but I don't think I can deal with a full episode of just a sword. So I'm glad. I'm like you said, when it was going through and it was just a sword for most of the shit. Most of the time, I'm like, ugh, I don't. I'm not know if I'm that interested in this. But the other character comes in and it's kind of cute, I guess. But it's not. I don't know. It might not be for me. But again, I'm with you, Till. I'm down to give it 2 to 3 more episodes. On top of this one, so about episode 4, I should know what I'm gonna do with it.
See where it's sitting with us.
True. And I guess for me, bro, my other episode that I watched was Uzuki-chan Wants to Hang Out, season 2, episode 1. Now I'm not gonna go into too many details of this one. It picks up right where it left off in season 1. It's still a cute show. This is a show back in when it came out. What was it, last year? I couldn't stand at first. Like the first 3 episodes, I was having a hard time kind of getting through it because of the situation. It's Uzuki-chan is basically a young girl, not a young girl, but the year below our main character. She's a year below our main character, and she's hanging out with him because he has this face that is extremely scary to everybody else. But he's a typical nice guy, kind of like on his tour kind of shit. And she comes through and she's like, I'm gonna hang out with you to, help make your college experience better. And it turns into like almost this cute romance kind of thing. And at first it's irritating because I'm just like, leave him the fuck alone, bro. He doesn't need you around. He's living his best life, and when you're around, you're kind of a burden. But then it kind of wins me over, which I think is what was the point of the show, which then made me like it a lot. After that, once I establish, I'm like, oh shit, I see what this show is doing, because the point is for her to be this burden, to then for him to be like, oh damn, she's not that much of a. I kind of enjoy this. Was very nice to see, because again, he was a loner. He didn't have any of this shit, and for it to become what it became, very, 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 very cute. And again, this next season seems starting off with a cutesy bang, if you will. Great slice of life so far. And then I guess we both watched Spy Family season 2, episode 1.
Yeah. Start off with the intro.
Sorry, excuse me. It's not season 2. It's core 2. So it's the second part of season 1. So let me clarify that.
Yeah. Start off with that intro though. Banger. It was on point.
It was so good.
It felt refreshing. It was so good.
This is the first time I rewinded the intro and then played it back again.
It was good as fuck. But then not even like, it was like we got this great intro, and then we see like the opening seconds for the anime, and it's just, you can tell they put some budget in this episode.
Yes, they did.
My wife was like, did they budget go up? I was like, it had to. It's a $130,000 episode right here.
I mean, it is Wit and Cloverworks, and they don't play.
But yeah, we both watched it. I really enjoy, obviously, getting to see these characters together again.
Yes.
I love the new dynamics that seem like they're going to be introduced.
Yep.
With the new characters and whatnot.
My favorite part of this episode for this core, the start of this core, was when he got caught to this mission and the interrogation thing, and the move that they used and why they needed him made sense. Because at first I'm like, why would you need him just for an interrogation? Like y'all got some of the best interrogators. He's not really an interrogator. But then when I saw what they did, I'm like, oh, that shit's fire, because he's like the master of disguise. So for him to walk in as a disguise of their leader and basically be like the Tekashi 6ix9ine of the situation, to make him the Tekashi 6ix9ine of the situation was fucking dope.
Typical police move.
Absolutely great move. So it was interesting. But the dog, bro. Absolutely love the dog.
Got my heart already.
Yeah,
what he's gonna do and what he brings to the table for the family, and I just love dogs, especially such a big fluffy, cuddly Anya loving dog.
Bro, the funniest part of this episode is when he was running around in a circle. Blew me, bro.
Yeah, I swear,
blew me, cracking up.
Like, she made it sound they really went somewhere and they just run around in a circle the whole time.
Yeah, I will say this: being back with Anya made me understand that the little lady in Yakuza, A Guide to Babysitting, is still the best child. Best child. I don't know the child term, but she's the best child. She's, I think her name is Yukea. She was adorable. Aya's fine. I like Aya, but she's fine, you know. She's fine.
Her character isn't as I guess diverse.
Yeah. She's more of a kid, I guess, which makes sense. Totally. But whatever. Great, man. Great start to the fall. What do you feel about? I just want to say, for those of you who are new to this introduction episode, we do pick sleepers every time we do our preview episodes of our seasons. So our sleepers will be out next week. So we will be discussing those in the detail we have done here. So Tell's sleeper being Blue Lock, and my sleeper being Eminence and Shadow, or something like that. Shadow and Eminence, something along those lines. But they both premiere next week. So we are going to have a lot more to discuss when it comes to the fall anime season and where it's going and how we feel about it so far. Overall, Tell, how do you feel about the first 4 that you've watched this season?
I mean, it's only one that I'm really kind of shaky on. Everything else, like My Hero Academia, I feel like I was gonna watch it regardless.
Yeah, we have to.
The Mobile Suit Gundam one, though, it surprised me with how quality it felt. And I'm not saying like Gundam doesn't normally have quality anime. Right. I'm just saying that this one kind of out the gate just looked and sounds beautiful. And then they gave us, the characters on top of it. So I was really into that. Spy Family is Spy Family. I feel like it was guaranteed to be good. I'm not going to say guaranteed. It has that Spy Family or that I want to see from something like this.
Yeah.
I feel like things that we've been missing the last few seasons is like we might get a season where everything seems serious or a season where everything just seems light. I feel like we might have a season this time around where we get a mix of things. Hopefully we can get some light, good feeling stuff and some heavy, deep, emotional stuff too.
Which we'll see. We'll see. The season is just beginning and a lot of it is returning stuff. But I will say this. I somehow got stronger when I improved my farm related skills. It seems like the more interesting new thing so far, which is technically there's only 2 new things. So I can't really speak on much else. But for me personally, I've gotten stronger when I improve my skill. Even though it's definitely budget, bro. It's so budget. Studio A Cat. I really haven't heard of them. I really haven't heard of anything that they've done, to be honest. So kind of makes sense as to why it kind of looks the way it does. But yeah, I mean, I guess they did. She professed herself a pupil of a wise man or something like that, which is a show that came out recently that I didn't check out. But I don't know. I'm still interested to see that one. The Reincarnated as a Sword one has a few more episodes left before I determine on if I'm gonna keep watching it or not. But other than that, great stuff. All right, man. I forgot. This is we also do a part of the podcast before we go into our break song where you get to know us as hosts a little bit better. We only have 2 questions in the list, so via flip of a coin, I'm gonna just flip it and then we can just go from there. So heads is gonna be 1, tails is gonna be 2. Tails. So it's gonna be question number 2, which is, what is your favorite genre of anime? What a great question to start off a reintroduction. I will go first. I'll make it easy. I said it earlier in the show. Slice of life. Slice of life is my absolute favorite genre of anime.
Mine has got to be. I feel like it's got to be psychological, and I think psychological in the sense of like what stuff like Subaru from ReZero goes through, what the characters in Made in Abyss go through, what the characters from Top Rendering go through.
So psychological thriller.
Yeah, like the thriller, because I don't really need like necessarily the fighting, but I do need like that what the fuck is gonna happen next, kind of
suspense kind of feeling. Yeah, bro, I feel that.
So I really like that a lot. I like the psychological thrillers and isekai. That's where we at.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, of course. Fire. Okay, so we're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna take a quick break. Shout out to Rob J for this request, but he requested that we play what is actually my end of the stream song for my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/PolowBornFly. It's by Noah. It's called Airport Bar. It's kind of a comedy, but yet chill, relaxing R&B song. I absolutely enjoy the song. I play this every single time I'm in my stream. My chat hates it because they know I'm in the stream whenever they hear it, even though it's a great song. So stick around for that. And when we come back, you are going to get a look at our patented review of Summertime Rendering. Now, the way our review works is we start off with general thoughts. So you can stick around if you haven't watched Summertime Rendering for the general thoughts before we dive into the categories. We'll give you full warning before we go into full spoilers of it. But stick around. We're going to give our general thoughts of Summertime Rendering. Then we're going to go into the how the rating system works. Stick around for that as well. And then we talk spoilers and give the scores. So thank you so much for listening, everybody. A part of this reintroduction, we appreciate y'all for rocking with us. Even the veterans, we hope you enjoyed our top 10. We finally decided to give y'all after 3 years of doing this podcast. But thank y'all so much. We love y'all. Thank you so much for supporting us. We'll be right back right after these. And welcome back to episode 172 of Mic Check Waifu. Reintroduction 4. I did do that right, correctly, Tell, right? On the tweet, Roman numeral 4 is IV, right? Okay, just had to make sure. I did it. So what I did, the influence for that was because I like to kind of design our shit around certain things. So Re3 was based off of Re0. That's kind of the title for that one. But Re4 was based off of the way Resident Evil did its title. How they did Resident Evil 8, and they put the Roman numerals 8 within Resident Evil, which was fucking always dope to me, which is just it's an RT thing that I fucking love. But I digress. Welcome back to Mic Check Waifu. Again, make sure you follow us on Twitter at Mic Check Waifu, and our individual Twitters at Polow Bornfly and at King Telliano. Right now, what we're going to do is we're going to bring you a review, which we haven't done in a very long time, of one of the spring bangers that just wrapped up last week, Summertime Rendering. Again, as I said before the break, we're going to go into general thoughts, no spoilers. No spoilers for the show. General thoughts of the show before we dive into our categories, and then we rate our categories with spoilers. So, without further ado, let's do further and start with what are your general thoughts, overall thoughts of Summertime Rendering?
The ending gave me everything I wanted,
bruh,
and it gave me everything I wanted. Tied everything up. From episode 1 to episode 24, gave me everything I wanted. I feel like there was no loose ends left behind. It hit everything. So for me, this is a story that provided way more than we even deserved in some scenarios, in my opinion. But yeah, that's where it is. That's just where I'm gonna leave it. It gave me way more than I needed. But go ahead, Polo.
I'm gonna keep it real with you. Unbelievable. I'm gonna be honest with you. From the start of it to episode 9 or 10, my thought process was, how can they keep this up? It has to flounder. There's no fucking way you go 25 episodes and be able to wrap this up nicely. There's no way. There's no way you can do it. They fucking did it, bro. They did it. 25 episodes of pure, unadulterated fire, bro. Unbelievable. It was a story with the most intrigue, a story with one of the, again, I said this a lot this episode, but I promise you this is very rare with one of the best main protagonists of any show. You don't have a dumb character here. You don't have a character who can't really form proper thoughts. You have a character who is intelligent, who thinks outside the box, with a show that is completely outside of the box. Like, it's unbelievable. It's an unbelievable show. If you haven't watched Summertime Rendering, watch Summertime Rendering. Now, before you go, let me explain how our rating system works. Our rating system works like this. We have 5 categories that each hosts, Polow, Tell, individually rates. So, for example, the category starts. We each individually rate on a 10-point scale. 10-point scale, 100-point scale, 10-point scale, 10-point scale. So 10-point scale being 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 20-point scale. That's a 20-point scale, Polow, you doofus. On a 20-point scale that we individually rate. Okay, so for example, the categories is animation, we will rate individually. Sound design, we will each rate individually. Pacing, we'll each rate individually. Plot, we'll rate individually. And characters, we'll rate individually. Now, there's a definition. Our definition is and will be explained as we get to the categories. But we rate those individually. And after we rate them individually, we tally each of our individual scores into one overall score. With each of our one overall scores tallied, we then put those 2 scores together to give you an official Mic Check Waifu full individual score for said anime. Tell, as I said before, let's do this, brother. Let's start off with the official review of Mic Check Waifu Summertime Rendering Experience. Starting off with animation. Animation is and equals art style, visuals, direction, scenery, and overall just viewing experience. How it looks to you. What do you rate Summertime Rendering animation?
I feel like they didn't drop the ball anywhere for this one, so animation for me is a 10. Yeah,
I mean, you want to go on a little bit more details, or you want me to?
All right, so here we go. So let's get into the art style of it, right? They did a very good job of creating the scenery, the views of each shot that was put into this, right? So even if you just look at the backgrounds, the details in the backgrounds, the color choices in contrast to the actual characters themselves, everything they did to kind of culminate to this moment of, all right, now let's add some motion to the actual characters and whatnot, just brought everything to light in terms of like how it was done. As someone who's been deeply enthralled in art and everything, this show just it does everything right, the lines and all of it. And then even when they took the time out to go into things that were like kind of funny, because they did like an episode where some things were kind of like kind of funny moments. They intentionally made the lines a little scratchy for certain moments and stuff like that. They did a good job at really taking that art style or that direction and saying, boom, let's capitalize and make it work for this moment. The nothing seemed out of place. Nothing seemed choppy. It was like they sat down and said, we're actually going to make sure people know we love this anime from the animation alone. If they just said, let's look at the anime, not even add the sound to it, not add the actual, what we know about the characters. Just look at the animation. You will see that they put a lot of work and love into each frame for this.
Yeah. Okay. So the studio is OLM. They've done stuff like Don't Tour With Me, Nagatoro. They've done stuff like Komi Can't Communicate Part 2. They've done Odd Taxi. They got some fucking Komi Can't Communicate Season 1. Restaurant to Another World. They've done some beautiful fucking anime that I've seen. That's incredible. And this show is no different. It's no different whatsoever. I mean, it's a 10 for me as well, if you didn't already know. It's my favorite thing is that I talked about this when we're talking JJK, but it does what JJK does so well, and it has to in this particular show because objects have so much meaning in the show. There are shadows in the show that can turn into objects, and if you're not paying attention, you can miss what object is a shadow, what object isn't, or whatever. And the way the way they've done camera angles, again, yes, there are camera angles in animation for those of you that don't know. For some reason, some people don't seem to understand that. But with the way they did camera angles within the animation was beautiful because they love to follow objects. For example, Hizuru fighting Shide for the very first time, which is when they went to Shiori's house. When she was fighting those shadows for the very first time, and the way she took that sledgehammer, like the way she moved the sledgehammer, and I don't think it was Shide, it was actually the parents of Shiori, but the way she took that sledgehammer and the camera would follow the sledgehammer back as actually it was Rinosuke, but I digress, and pulled it back, and the camera would just follow it, and then it would fucking swing with this fucking vitriolic just swipe of the camera. Was beautiful, man. Unbelievable. And as Tell talked about the scenery was also extremely important because there would be stuff that you could miss or recall or callbacks that were presented in episode 4 or 5 that you would never even think would be as important as it is until it is revealed. For example, I can't remember her name. The girl that looks like she always have her eyes closed. Shu's brother or Shu's sister. Yeah. She had a moment in like episode 4 where she was standing on top of the stairs of the temple, and the way the fucking camera zoomed into her crying as Shinpei made his way up the stairs, and she said, "Oh my God, I did not know that this was the plan. I would have never agreed to this." And she was fucking crying and bawling her tears out. And you had no idea what was going on, but the camera zoomed in and then fucking zoomed out, and you saw all the people and bodies and shadows melding together. Fucking gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And the one thing that was so important from episode 1 to episode 25, most important, was Shinpei's eye. That small detail that they've always seemed to play they play favoritisms when it came to his eye within every shot of the show. His eye was always the one light, the one darker one, because of his situation and how he had Haine's eye because of story reasons. Fucking, it's too deep to even go into here because you wouldn't even understand what the fuck I'm talking about. Shit, this may even be a spoiler-free review with the way we're discussing this, but it's absolutely fucking fire. Animation is a 10 for those particular reasons. I agree with everything that Tell said as far as the way the lines are drawn. It was beautiful. It was beautiful throughout. The comedy episode was almost a reason for me to give it like a 9.5, but I couldn't because of the simple fact is it still looked good. It still looked good as intentional as because it was intentional. So for me, 10 out of 10. So next up will be sound design. Sound design culminates the soundtrack, composition, the sound effects, and how well they were tied in with the visuals. And for me, I'll start off with this one. It's very fucking easy. It's a fucking 10. Some of the best thing in this show was the sound design because of the impact. Everything had to have impact. And if it didn't have impact, it wouldn't have hit as hard as it did in the moment that it was hitting in. I'm gonna go back to the sledgehammer example again. If that sledgehammer sounded like puke, it wouldn't have the impact it did. They would do shit like have moments where it would be completely quiet, and all of a sudden, I don't know, Shinpei will be shot, and you won't hear a fucking sound because that's the point of the anime. If he was shot, you wouldn't hear a sound because he's been re-rendered back to the past. So it'd be boom, and he'll wake up on whatever day he was or whatever checkpoint he was at that particular time. And it was so fucking beautiful. It was so well done because what it would do is it would leave you in awe. It'll leave you like, what the fuck just happened? And there was so many moments in the show where that happened. What the fuck just happened? Or where a character would get their fucking head blown off. And you would just be like, yo, where the fuck did that happen? Because the momentum of sound design will build up to these incredible fucking moments that will blow you the fuck back. And if you got good headphones and if you had that shit turned up, you would understand exactly what I'm talking about. And then the soundtrack. The outro to the first half of the show was the most perfect thing One of the best outros I think I've heard. Probably it'll be in my top 5 as far as outros go. I mean, it was an outro, but it's a top 5 outro for sure. Sorry for rambling too much. What do you think about sound design?
Sound design is definitely a 10. Hear me out though, because like what Polow was saying, sound design isn't just the sound that you put into it. It's actually how you make those sounds, and it's deciding when to implement those sounds and when to not implement anything.
Tell them.
Because when I tell you, like, we got the surround sound in the house, and if Shide's swooping in from the left side and going all the way to the right, you hear that him moving from one side of the screen to the other, or you hear you hear that whoosh that Polow talking about when a character gets shot from the right side of the screen to the left. You hear it, but not only do you hear it, the way they develop that sound is that you feel it. And if we just go off the last episode alone, the last moments of the last episode, the way that it was designed was like, it almost could give you like an auditory overload, because it was like everything was like perfect. It was like, can you imagine watching something and the sounds are everywhere they need to be, but this ain't real life? It was great. They did an amazing job at conceptualizing where the sound needs to be, how the sound needs to be developed, the music itself, and creating intense moments with the sound, and even desensitizing the viewers when they needed to be like turned off from what they're about to see that might be too much, just to like we see a stack of corpses, bro. They set it up so that you can feel exactly what you need to feel in that moment.
To piggyback off that desensitized comment that you just made, that the internet rudely interrupted you on, the desensitized part is so fucking important, because what happens is there will be moments where you will be taken into the mind of the main character. You'll be removed from the current situation that's currently happened and put into the mind of Shinpei, which is the main character. When you're in the mind of Shinpei, it's fucking, everything is muffled. He's thinking, he's talking to himself, he's monologuing, he's trying to figure out what's the next best course of action in this situation. He's taking notes in his head, and you can feel it. You feel like you're fucking underwater with him, because every time he was in his head, it seemed like he was underwater, which was beautiful. It was a beautiful sound design choice that is extremely important to what the show is, and bringing your investment into what it was. That fucking, it was so good, bro. That last episode too was so fucking good.
Bro.
Guess what? You have the honors of doing pacing. Pacing is the episode to episode strength and continuity, how well the story developed as the series unfolded and went on. Pacing.
I feel like this might be the easiest one to rate.
Absolutely.
Because it's a 10, but hear me out. It's not a 10 just because like it was easy to follow. It's a 10 because if you didn't pay attention, it wasn't easy to follow.
Yes, bro.
Like the anime was something that, like I said before, with the animation and sound design, use those things to draw you in, but you had to pay attention when you see these things taking place. It didn't allow you to get lost, because in 3 episodes, it's going to bring something that you paid attention to 3 episodes ago that will draw you back into how things are taking place, why all of this makes sense. There's nothing to miss. Like, even if you think you didn't understand what's happening, don't worry. They're going to give it to you in a minute. Just let them work their way up to it. Because the writers for this did not forget how to properly put this story together, piece by piece, puzzle piece by puzzle piece, to make sure you understood this is how the continuity rolls in the anime.
I said this every week during the discussion of this show that we had at our spoiler talk. The director wrote it backwards, which totally makes sense when you look at what the last episode was, because the last episode was episode 1. So it was episode 1, but without the shadows, because of what happened in episode 24. The pacing was perfect only because, and me and Tel always do slightly different thoughts about pacing, so which also makes this review system so cool. Obviously, I'm gonna give it a 10 as well. Okay, but what the pacing for me means is how well it took you to the next episode. For me, it's always so important that they don't do the corniest cliffhangers. I never felt like the cliffhangers left you out left you out to dry. It was never this shock value cliffhanger like Platinum Man was, or just drop you out of mid story to say, come back next week. It was never that. It always was a perfect flow to the episode, and when it stopped, it was the perfect time to stop. It made you want more without necessarily needing to cock tease you or blue ball you into needing more. So fucking well done, because it, again, and I said this before, for it to carry 25 episodes as well as it did and not fall off once with pacing, not slow down once, not make you feel like you're watching a filler episode of something. As Tell said, everything and in every episode was very important, because it was going to call back to previous episodes, which we're going to get into in this next rating. It was perfect. The pacing was absolutely perfect. The pacing is more perfecter, I'll make up a word, than the animation or sound design. And the animation and sound design was also perfect. The pacing was key to this show. Very, 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 very key to this show. Now, it's my turn. Sorry, my dog just randomly went into his kennel for some reason. Because she doesn't do that unless he does something wrong. So I got to check that out in a minute. But the next rating is plot. Plot goes, obviously, the overall story, how well it was written, and how well the story resonated with us as a viewer. Okay. You guessed it, listeners. It's a 10 for Polow. Unbelievable plot, bro. To think, and everything followed the rules of the world. We didn't necessarily know all the rules, but when we figured out all the rules, which was in the midpoint of the season virtually, once we knew all those rules, they never deviated once from those rules. And I always find that to be the most important piece about storytelling. You have to follow your own world's rules. If you don't follow your own world's rules, then I can't respect your world. If I can't respect your world, then I won't respect the anime. So, with that being said, plot was absolutely perfect, from the story to, we're going to talk about this next, is the characters, but the way the story unfolded around the characters was beautiful, bro. Beautiful. Even when they would do flashbacks, the flashbacks were so well placed that you always have those oh shit moments, those what the fuck, are you kidding me? If you're saying that while you're watching this show, then it's a perfect story, bro. You're invested, and I was invested the entire time.
So I'm gonna give the story a 10, the plot a 10 as well. I think this anime did something very unique, and every anime should do something like this in regardless, right? I think this anime gave us the story visually and auditorily, because visually you look at it and sometimes you think that this story has to be the exact same as what I'm hearing. It didn't necessarily even have to feel that way for this anime. Like, I was talking about when they talked about Heine and where she originally came from, right? Mm-hmm. They're not Heine, Hiriko, the deity. They were talking about, we don't even know where she came from. She could have come from space and landed here and took over sea life. And they started to break down this story. And our characters themselves don't even know the true history of where Hiriko comes from, right? Until, we get a little bit further down. But that's a story that remains a mystery for majority of the anime. And then we actually get to pick up the actual story of like our characters and how they progress through the storyline. The story was so important because they weaved everything together. It wasn't weave. Tokiko, like what Polow said, right? In that moment when she's crying, we didn't find out why she was crying until like episode 12, where we find out she was partly involved in like, how the hospital operates and all these different things. So we didn't know. And it was so important to pay attention to how the story unraveled and how those things evolved and devolved. Yeah. So, 10 out of 10 for me for the plot.
Next up, and it's probably my story being probably second to this, but characters is always the most important piece. It's the reason why I don't like Attack on Titan anymore. Story characters is what makes the story for me. It's always characters first, then story. If your world building with your plot and your story is good, but the characters fucking stink, I'm not interested because I'm not invested. My goal is to always be invested with the characters. Shout out to Clint for doing that to me. Characters for me in this show is 10. And now it goes to what I said earlier in the podcast, earlier in this episode. It goes back to what I was saying, what Tell was saying even during our break, which she's gonna discuss a little bit later if his internet permits it. It is so very, very, very fucking important to have a main character who isn't a complete idiot. Like, having a character smart and thoughtful, and he's thinking about stuff that I'm thinking about, but he's doing it in a smarter way, because I'm thinking about the same thing he's even monologuing about, but I'm like, oh shit, I didn't even think about that, but he did. And that, again, I'm invested with the side characters. I'm invested with even how they feel emotionally, even romantically. I'm like, oh shit, man, I kind of understand where she's coming from, and it's like, it sucks for her, but you know, he kept it real. It's all these fucking pieces that come together to make a perfect anime, and which this is probably going to be a perfect anime for us, our second 10 out of 10 spoiler alert anime. Not only that, and I'm gonna let Tell discuss this a little bit further, but villains, man, villains are so important to the characters of an anime that, again, I just want to take over the world the world's sake is never great. If you have proper reason, then now you're talking. And goes to show these Shide and Hiriko was great villains throughout all 25 episodes.
Facts. So no brainer, but 10 out of 10 for characters on this for me. And it's because there's not a single character that introduced to us that either feels out of place, that you could relate to in some way, that you didn't view as either a problem or some kind of exception or help to the story. Everyone played their role, and they played their roles extremely well, whether it be emotional to non-emotional, whether it be just adding in context for the rest of the story. Every character played their roles exceptionally well. And even when we get to the end, we get to see all the characters kind of coming back into a different light, you know, because the story is over, was amazing. So the villains, Hiriko and Shide. Now, obviously, I know everyone doesn't view the characters the same. We're all gonna have different perspectives on these characters. But you look at a character like Hiriko, who initially she was a much more instinctual character. You know, she had no conceptualization of what it was like to be a human. Right. She turned from a whale to a kid, and then had to figure out how to be a human. Because she had,
I mean, you would think, and I think they talked about this, but she gained emotions, you know? Which is something I don't think she's had.
Imagine living for hundreds of years, and then all of a sudden, now I got emotions. Shit's wild. Probably a little trippy for you. But let's even go like we talked about with Shide, right? Now, Shide may be viewed a little bit differently for others, but let's look at what he actually did for the story. He initially, for us, he was the queen piece on the chessboard. Absolutely. To begin with. We think Hiriko's the queen or the king on the chessboard, just with way more power than she needs. And then Shide is the queen piece that moves around and secures the victory. It actually turned out that Shide was pulling the wool over our eyes. And not to get too far into it, but he's a character.
Straight demon.
Demon, yes. He was a character who provided both a safeguard for what we thought was the villain, as well as deception to that villain and to the rest of us as well. A character who had far more layers to peel back than we could even thought of. A character that we can't look at from one perspective because he is literally living through multiple perspectives.
Bro,
you know,
tell him.
So when we look at some of these characters in here, like, just to think that how developed the villain is alone has to mean that the rest of the characters in this story are so well thought out. We look at Reintroduction.
There it is.
I mean, come the fuck on, bro.
That dynamic was so good, man, between brother and sister, and how when he was getting eaten and the personality split became a part of Hizuru, and it was so fucking good, bro. It was so good. Mm-hmm. Oh God, this is a perfect anime.
Easily.
Without further ado, we're gonna go into the overall score of the anime. I mean, you guessed it. Animation, Polow gave it a 10. Tell gave it a 10. Sound design, Polow gave it a 10. Tell gave it a 10. Pacing, 10, 10. Plot, 10, 10. Characters, 10, 10. So I wonder what the overall score is. I don't know. Maybe a 10. An absolute fucking 10. Now, what makes this rating system so good for us personally is it's really, really, really hard. Really, really hard to be a 10 because we have so many categories. If you're not perfect in all these categories, you cannot be a masterpiece. Summertime Rendering, along with Astro Lost in Space, are the only 10s to ever exist in the Mic Check Waifu review scale. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm adding it to our rating list. 10. Now, let's go through and tell the people what our top rated anime are. Actually, we'll everything that we've rated, we're going to share what the scores were. So, starting off at number 1, Summertime Rendering, 10. Obviously, we just rated that. Astro Lost in Space, number 2, it's a 10. Clannad at number 3 with a 9.8. Number 4, My Teen Romantic Comedy Series, 9.45. Number 5, Fire Force, 9.35. One of Tell's top 10, which I can respect, absolutely. Number 6, Grimgar, A Fantasy in Ash, 9.3, which is my top 5. I can agree. Promised Neverland Season 1, unrated. Vinland Saga, I don't even remember doing that, but I figured we did that for a particular reason, so I'm gonna leave it like it is. Vinland Saga at a 9.25 at number 8. Arcane, the Netflix original series. The Netflix original series, 9.2. Number 10, Demon Slayer, 8.8. Number 11, Beastars, 8.85. Number 12, Erased, 8.75. Number 13, Steins Gate, 8.65. Number 14, the Vox Machina cartoon, 8.6. Number 15, the Demon Slayer train arc, Mugen train arc, right? Is that what this is?
Yeah.
8.5. Number 16, which was our featured review, which is one of the ones we did with Blind Anime Podcast. Shout out to Blind Anime Podcast. But it was Made in Abyss that took all of our ratings and it gave us an 8.5. Number 17, Darwin's Game at an 8.5. Number 18, Link Click at 8.45, which is crazy. Number 19, Invincible, which is the Amazon Prime show, 8.45. Number 20, Bungo Stray Dogs, 8.4. Number 21, Chivalry of a Failed Knight, 7.95. Number 22, Gangsta, 7.95. Mostly because it's not done and it won't ever be done. Number 23, Season 4 of My Hero Academia, 7.9. I think that's still too high. Tokyo Revengers at number 24, 7.85. I think that's too low. Dr. Stone, 7.8 at 25. I think that's too high. Banana Fish, 7.3. And 91 Days, 6.4, with a bonus Hall of Shame, Demon Lord, negative 7.5. That was a terrible show that we decided to do something a little bit different, more fun with, and give a 7 point. Demon Lord retried specifically to give us a negative score of probably our only one we'll ever do, because I ain't never wasted my time with a negative show.
I've only ever watched one show worse than that.
Yeah. So that is all of the shows we've rated so far. You can check out miccheckwaifu.com/reviews to get a gander at some of the shows we reviewed, along with the episode attached to it. So if you go to the site, it'll have a picture of the show with the rating, and then it'll have the full episode link to our Spotify page. But that's it, man. I just want to say, listen, thank y'all so much for listening. If you're a new listener, make sure you rate us 5 stars on either Spotify or Amazon or wherever you listen to podcasts. We are literally on every podcasting site. I Googled us and made sure that was the case. I think except for Pandora, which if you're using Pandora, then I'm going to need you to get out of the 2010s. But with that, that's a wrap for episode 172 of Mic Check, Waifu. Oh, no recap. I'm at Polow Born Fly on all social media.
I'm at King Telliano on all social media.
You can follow our social medias at Mic Check Waifu on Twitter and at Mic Check Waifu on Instagram and TikTok. And as always, thank y'all so much. And Mic Check.
Yes.
You're now tuned into Mic Check Waifu. Is that you? Is that you? Is that you? Is that you? Is that you?